Hey everybody out there, this is Modern Day Duelist, and for you guys, we're profiling a deck that I actually really like, but can we appreciate this map for a second? The thickness of these thighs. Alright, back to the deck profile.
Okay.
Without further ado, we're going to be profiling my friend, this Darklord deck, who's profiled this on the channel before. So without further ado, I'll let him take over and explain this deck, because I know he really likes this deck.
Yeah, okay. So as I mentioned last time I profiled this deck is not competitively viable at all. I don't like this list is built to be like strictly a fun list. Like I don't think there's really any like sense trying to build a deck to be like competitive, like when it really doesn't have that like toolkit. So you'll probably see that as I move through the list. Yeah, but just mandatory 3-ofs, of course. The wife, 3 Excel, and 3 Superbia. I don't think you can play any less of these cards in this deck. Excel is what starts your entire engine. She's the Destiny draw, just pitch her plus any other Darklord card and draw 2. Ideally you want to pitch Superbia to set Superbia up and revive it back, and then Superbia will also proc and bring back a fairy. But yeah, these 3 I think are the heart and soul of this deck. I don't really think you can play any less of them. If Superbia could summon back another copy of itself, this deck would be much better, but it's not, so it's stuck in like tier 8 or 5, wherever it is. But yeah, just really quickly, all the new Darklords, Ixchel, Nastin, Tezcatlipoca, and Amdusk, they all share the same secondary effect, where as a quick effect, you pay 1,000 life points as cost and then target a Darklord spell or trap in the grave. You apply the spell or trap's effect as the Darklords, and then you shuffle the spell or trap back into the deck. So you can circumnavigate the hard ones returns on them. So it's pretty neat. And then I opted to play 3 Nastin. You could certainly cut this to 2. I think I've seen lists that play 1, I think that's absolutely incorrect. Sometimes Nastin is just like the only way you have to even play with this deck, because like this deck, all it does is draw, and then even then sometimes you just brick and don't do anything with this deck. So Nastin is the only Darklord that can actually summon itself, so you just pitch 2 Darklord cards, summon Nastin, and hopefully you have extenders in your grave to keep playing. But I like 3, you could play 2. At worst case, the 3rd is the alert target, and if you open multiple Nastins, you can pitch the extra one to summon the other one. And then I'm still playing 2 Tezcatlipoca. You could certainly cut this to 1 as well. I just like having the extra Darklord name, and it's another alert target. But yeah, you could for sure just place at 1. It's probably the worst of the new Darklords. All it is a hand trap that like protects your Darklords from destruction. It's like a Return of the Dragonlords. Like if they're to die, you just pitch it from your hand. It doesn't start a chain link, so that's really cool. So if you have like a board of Darklords and you have banishment in your grave, you can use the quick effects, target this, search Tezcatlipoca, and then on resolution you just pitch this from your hand and you save your whole field. So that's cool. But yeah, just 2 of could easily be 1. And then I'm playing 2
Ooh, you got the secret first eds, my friend.
Yeah, French too.
French.
Yeah, I still have for 2 Zerato. This is another one you can just play at 1. I just like having 2 because Desires, it keeps trading a bit more alive. I also think its on-field effect to just write Geki boards is really important as well, especially when you make OTK pushes. It'll blow itself up if you do that, but ideally you're just going to link it away or overlay it into a rank 8.
So you found that 2 is okay, or 3, like 2 to 1?
I think 3 is too much. 2 or 1 is fine. If I wasn't a coward, I'd play 1, but I'm playing Desires and I'm a coward, so.
So you would run 2 to 1, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I think 3 is too much.
Oh, I agree.
But yeah, its effect to like summon itself with 1 tribute when you have 4 more darks in your grave will literally never come up. If you're tribute summoning a Darklord, like you're probably losing the duel anyway. So. And then my last big Darklord is just the one Amdusk.
Yep.
He's alright. It's just a name and an alert target. You could probably like honestly just cut this card. Like in tandem with like Ukobak, you can do some cute things. Like, but honestly, it's just a name and like an alert target. You discard this and any other Darklord card, target a Darklord card in your graveyard, and add it back to your hand. So you do like neg 1, but it helps you recycle. But yeah, this definitely just cut this.
Gotcha.
And my last big fairy is the Christia.
Now people used to run lists like a 2
Yeah,
or 3.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why are you only running 1?
One, because I'm not an asshole and I don't want to just sit on a floodgate monster and win the game that way. But also because it bricks a lot. Like especially like this in Vanity's Fiend, I know like a lot of lists just opt to play like 3 Vanity's Fiend and like 3 Christia. I guess if you really want to like shut your opponent out, like and like at the higher cost of like your deck being like less consistent, you could do that. I don't know. I'd rather like this is just a fun deck, as I said. Like I want to interact with my opponent.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, just one's fine. If you summon it, and you'll be in a good spot. If you don't, it's just a trade in target, or you'll banish it off of Desires. Like it's whatever.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you can make cute plays and just drop this off of Saryuja, and that's really funny.
Oh my gosh.
For free. And then it'll be at like 31k, or not 31k, 3,100 attack. But yeah. And then with regards to Vanity's Fiend, like I just don't want to commit my normal summon to like a monster that can be outed like with like a Widow Anchor or something. Like I want my normal summon to go to something like impactful, like these cards. Darklord go back. It's just a Beatrice on normal or special summon. Not much more to say about it. It just sends whatever you want, when you want it. I value the precision milling you get off of this card more than like summoning like Blue Boy or Vanity's Fiend and hoping my opponent can't out the Vanity's Fiend, or just like like trying to resolve like what's it spellbook knowledge,
Knowledge,
and, like going +1 and just like making myself more vulnerable to Ashen Veiler. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Yeah, I like these two. And then, as I mentioned before, this deck's really bad. So, in this specific version, I'm playing 2 copies of Raiden, and this is you really don't want to normal summon this card, and it is kind of just like a pseudo Garnet in this deck. But this is just here because I'm playing Charge of Light Brigade because that card's insane.
So you're trying to mill.
I'm just this deck is focused around just filling the graveyard with usable cards, and just summoning big fairies from the graveyard and
Never
just
thought Raiden would be a Garnet, but yeah.
smacking your opponent in the face. Yeah, I was playing 1 and then I draw it all the time and then just have like 3 charges in my deck that don't do anything. But yeah, it's not like the worst normal summon. Sometimes you'll get like super like Saki and just normal summon this and like mill like Superbia and like Excel or something. Yeah, it's a pretty decent like beater too, like 1700. Like if you get really lucky and mill the older copy, it'll go up to 19. But yeah, like this entire engine can just be like whatever you want it to be. It could be like gammas. It could be the
Vanity's
spell books,
Fiend, whatever. Yeah.
And then the mandatory 3 of Darklord spells, triple banishment, triple contact. This is a Rhoda, so you gotta max out. And
this is a monster.
This is a monster. Unfortunately, it comes in defense position because Konami hates this deck. If it came in an attack position, like what? Like Blue Eyes got Return of the Dragon Lords. Like, why can't we? I mean, granted, like Return isn't like searchable, but whatever. But yeah, not really much more to say about these. Sometimes this card can be a bit bricky, and I want to play it too, but like you just have to play it at 3, just because this entire deck just revolves around dumping your fairies into the grave and just
reusing them and then abusing them.
Just abusing them with Superbia. So, and as I mentioned before, all the Darklord spells and traps are hard ones per turns, but you can just get around those by copying their effects with the big monsters. And then the aforementioned Charge of the Light Brigade. Milling 3 for cost is pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, that's just the entire theory behind this. I just want to fill my graveyard with usable cards. But if you wanted to take this deck more seriously, this could be like whatever you want. Like, yeah. And then for the draw portion, this is not very standard here. I changed things up. Can you even see this?
Can we see it?
There you go. I opted for 2 trade-in, 2 allure, and just 1 desires. I cut allure because I'm playing the Raidens now, and it's not as live as it was before. This could like
so
probably
you
could go to 3. I just opted to cut it. Desires is also at 1 now because I'm playing the Raidens, and I don't want to banish them and make charge dead. But this could also go to 2. It's probably correct to 2. Yeah, and then my reasoning, my theory behind to Trade-In is that unlike Allure and Desires and like Upstart, if you were to play that, Trade-In isn't live just on its own. You can't just activate Trade-In. You need to have the level 8 in your hand. And I know like the argument a lot of people make with this deck is like, oh, you have Banishment of the Darklords. You can just search like Superb or Zerato and turn on Trade-In. Yeah, I don't want to waste my Rhoda just to turn on Trade-In. So I don't know, like that's just my like mindset on Trade-In. Like I'm playing 3 Superbia, 2 Zerato, 1 Christia, like 6 targets. So I think like 2 is more than enough. Like I've never had like huge issues with this. But you could certainly just go 3-3 and 2.
Gotcha.
On all of these. This is just what has been working for me recently, especially after I started playing with the Light Swings. And then because Droll and Lockbird and Ash Blossom really messed this deck up. If you get Droll and Lockbird in this deck, you just probably lose because all this deck does is draw. But yeah, this is pretty standard in the metagame right now. Like this is probably like one of the best cards in the game at the moment because you know it is. So we'll play that.
Shut down those hand traps that hurt you.
And we don't have Soul Charge anymore. So, which
sucks.
This deck is a lot worse because of that, but I get like this kind of compensates, but not really. It doesn't do nearly as much, but
Still get to bring back Superbia.
yeah, you get to bring back Superbia. It comes in attack this time, so that's fine. Yeah, it's self-explanatory. And then for the traps, I'm only playing 4, and they're all Darklord cards. Just 2 Rebellion, 2 Sanctified.
How's Sanctified working at 2 for you? Just curious.
It could definitely go to 1. Or the second one could become enchantment.
Yeah. Do you like enchantment still? Because I know some people are like iffy on that card.
I would side into enchantment if I were to play this deck, especially like now that we're in Link format. Like enchantment's really good if you're like making like a push for like to kill. I don't know. I think these are just more impactful. Like this is a negation, and you gain life points. And like this deck sucks with the new time rules because all you're doing is just paying life points, and this kind of like helps to mitigate that. And this is just a non-targeting Regeki.
Rebellion's always
like,
good.
I think like if this deck will ever like see like competitive play again, like it's because of the traps. Like the traps are insane. They're non-targeting, like negation, mind control, like destruction.
Yep.
And something cute you can do is like if your like Christia's on the field, you can actually use this, turn off your Christia, gain 2,800 life points, and then just special summon cards on your turn, and then it'll fade off on your opponent's turn, and they'll be under Christia again. So that's cool. That's the main. That's exactly 40 cards. You could definitely go over with Desires. Extra deck, you'll hardly ever touch this, but I guess I'll go into it. You can play this card because
you can.
Konami decided to make it a generic
Level 8.
gate.
Hey, Blue Eyes can run it too.
Yeah, so I mean, sure, I'll just like non-targeting send and then like just protect my board. Yeah, this doesn't really come up though. Like I say that like it's cool and it's funny, but like there are just better things to make. But it's there as an option. These are the cards you'll probably make most often. This
Harbinger,
and this is
Zombie
spells.
Stein.
This is just a 400, like 4,500 body that just negates like anything.
True.
Like, so like
True.
it's good and it's massive and like in a simplified game state, like just like having like this deck is really good in a simplified game state because like all the Dark Lords and like these monsters have huge attacks and just like punching your opponent for like large amounts of damage is just like really good. And then this isn't here because sometimes you just need to do like 2k to the face to close out a game. Negates anything too. It's alright. Like this could be whatever. A lot of this extra deck can be like whatever you want. And then I think this is probably like my favorite.
The Galaxy package.
Yeah, the Galaxy Suite. Like my favorite like extra deck, or at least my favorite monsters in the rank 8 pool, like Xyz monsters. Going second, these cards. Oh, these 3. This is for going first. But these 3 cards just blow like boards just wide open. Like steal a monster, just overlay pop, and they're all huge too. They're all over 3k. So yeah, like you're probably only really going like of the rank 8s. You're probably realistically only making like these, like maybe this if you're like going to game 2 and you fear evenly. But yeah, these cards are, I think you just have to play them in any deck that can afford to just like spam out rank 8s.
I understand.
And then the links, you'll probably never touch these. You'll probably always just be going for the Xyz, but they're there. Underclock Taker for making pushes. All your Darklord monsters are huge, like over like 2,500. So like you can just shrink your opponent's monster and then kill them through that. Nightmares really don't need to make these. Yeah, like Darklord Rebellion does like what these two do. Like when we get the Condemned Darklord, these two will probably become
Condemned
Darklords.
She's so. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I can't wait for that card.
And then you'll never make these cards. But if you need to, they're there. You might actually make this. This is actually you might make Sarija. It's more feasible than Warlord or Borosword. It's not as good. I want to say anymore because we don't have Soul Charge, and you can't really dig for it anymore. But like you can still just do like cool things by like summoning fairies out of your hand directly, like that Christia play I mentioned earlier.
Nice.
But yeah, like you probably won't be linking higher than 2 in this deck. Like all your firepower's in the main deck.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah,
All
that's
right.
the deck.
Well, thank you so much, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Love the map. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. We'll see you guys next time.
Wanna know what? I'm about to blow up. Caffeine in my cup, not lean in the blood. On the scene like a flood, and I've been through the mud. No, I can't get enough. Like a challenge, make it tough. No, it's not a bluff, cause I live for this stuff. And I take off the gloves just to break on my knucks. When I'm down on my luck, pick myself back up. Heavy hitter, and you know I'm not a quitter. No beginner, gonna be a steady winner.